Alright, ain't nobody got time to waste today, so we're jumping right in. So we are talking about cycles today, and we have talked about them numerous times in the past. Cycles is like a bicycle. Stuff's gonna go around and around and around. So many important elements and components cycle through the living and non-living components of the environment. All that means is stuff moves around. Okay? Water goes up, and then it forms clouds, and then it comes down. Congrats, you know the water cycle already. So it is a chain of events that continuously repeats. These cycles do not stop. They keep on happening. Oh, okay, so got that? Pause it. So we're going to talk about the water cycle first. So recycling is important in ecosystems because matter is limited. So you may think, well, Miss Riddle, we have all this water. Why don't we just, use it? Well, my friends, water is renewable, yes, but we will eventually run out of clean water. After water becomes salt water, we humans, we don't really have the technology to turn it back into fresh water yet. We're not that smart. We can put people into space, but we can't unsalt water. Seems like a big old waste, but that's just me. So you're going to learn in 8th grade that matter cannot be created or destroyed. What this means is we can't just magically start generating new water. Not going to happen. So water is essential for life. It's one of the 4 things: food, water, shelter, homeostasis. You got to drink water every day. Please drink more water. You are probably dehydrated. So the water cycle is the continuous process by which water moves to and from the atmosphere. Remember, I already told you. It rains, it goes into the rivers, it goes up, it makes clouds, it rains. There you go. Done. Evaporation, condensation, and precipitation are the 3 parts that you need to know for the water cycle. Nope, too fast. Blah, blah, blah. Write down those words. Pause me if you need. Here we go. So here's the water cycle. It is super easy. You probably saw this in what, 4th grade? So let's start at the top. We have condensation. Condensation starts with a C, because it's where the clouds are. Clouds eventually get very heavy and it starts to rain, or you can see snow. Rain or snow is precipitation. That water does runoff, it goes into the ground, it forms lakes, it forms creeks, it forms rivers. Well, then the sun comes out and it gets very hot. And that water starts to evaporate up. Or think of steam, okay? When you boil your macaroni and cheese water, all that steam is water evaporating. It's leaving. You actually have less water in the pot after you cook mac and cheese. Then that water goes up and it starts to condense. And then it comes over here and it starts to precipitate. Then it comes over here and it goes back up. Super easy, okay? Up, over, down. Evaporation, condensation, precipitation. If you want to see Miss Sewell's dance, please go over and ask her right now. I would love to see it. So evaporation is the process by which molecules of liquid water absorb energy and change to a gas. So like I said with your mac and cheese, when you are cooking that mac and cheese and it starts to steam, what you have done is you have given the water energy. Once that water has energy, it has to go somewhere. Think about your classmates. Most likely someone sitting in class right now is the most energetic kid. Period 4. We all know who we're thinking about here. So once it has energy, it's got to go somewhere. It's got to leave. So it goes up. It evaporates. That's the easiest place to go. So the energy for evaporation comes from heat always, whether it's from the sun or your oven or your body heat. Remember I told you when you take a shower and then you get out, you feel cold? That's because your body heat is warming up that water, and that water is leaving your body. It's evaporating off of your body. Okay, so that's how evaporation works. Water evaporates from any source of water: oceans, lakes, ponds, creeks, streams, your backyard, a puddle, a bucket that you sat out earlier this week. Doesn't matter. It also can come from living things like sweat and transpiration. So you exercise. Notice how I said you and not we, because I don't exercise. You exercise. And plants, do you ever wake up in the morning and kind of see the dew on the grass? Okay. Some of that dew comes from a process called guttation. Guttation is when plants actually kind of push extra water out of their xylem. Remember that word. And it's called transpiration. So plant sweat is called transpiration. Yours is called perspiration. Okay, so you release water into the atmosphere, so part of the clouds is your body sweat. Gross. Next is condensation. As the water vapor rises, it starts to get cold. It starts to cool down. Remember, it got that energy to go up from the heat. Then it starts to get cold. This process of a gas changing back into a liquid is called condensation. So when you boil that mac and cheese, it goes up, 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 and it's very hot, and it's very airy, it's very gassy. If you would go up high enough and see where that steam eventually stops, you would see it you would feel it start to get cool, and you would see it start to make dewdrops. Think of a soda can in the middle of summer. You start to get condensation around the outside of your soda can. That's exactly what's happening. Your soda is cold. The water in the air is hot. When it touches your soda can, it starts to condense. It starts to form back into a liquid. It starts to form water drops. Here is that soda can right here. Well, this isn't a can, it's a bottle, same thing. It actually grabs onto dust in the air. So anytime you see a raindrop, a drop of water, just remember, there's a little bit of pollution in there. This is a fun unit. Moving on. Precipitation is the easiest one. As the water continues to get heavier and heavier and heavier, it grows larger. Eventually it does fall to the earth. Rain, snow, sleet, hail, anything that falls from the earth or from the clouds is precipitation. Minus like a skydiver. That doesn't count. Okay, so it does get so heavy that eventually it drops. Think of a weightlifter trying to work out. If they aren't practicing every day and they try to immediately lift 300 pounds, it's going to be too heavy. They're going to drop it. So precipitation is when the raindrop gets too heavy, it does eventually fall back to earth. Precipitation may fall into oceans, lakes, or rivers. It might fall onto the grass. It might fall onto your sidewalk, maybe into a bucket, your mouth, my dog's mouth. Who knows? Eventually, it will go back into the cycle, though. It will go into a lake, a river, a stream. It will evaporate. Then it will condensate. Then it will precipitate. That is how a cycle works. So you are, when you think about it, potentially drinking people's sweat every time you drink rainwater. Like if you go outside and open your mouth, that's totally someone's sweat. This has been fun. Carbon and oxygen. We have talked about this before when we learned about plants. So this should feel fairly familiar, I'm hoping. So carbon and oxygen are completely necessary for life. You totally need oxygen to breathe. So in your mind, you need oxygen more, but your whole body actually is made up of carbon. Every single cell in your body has carbon in it. Your DNA, your fat, your proteins, your nucleic acids, all of those molecules have carbon. So you are completely required to have both of these in your body at all times. So carbon is the building block, especially in bones and muscles. So this right here, this is fat. So any place that you have fat, which everyone has a little bit of fat, I mean, all of your cells have fat in it, just a little bit. So this is what fat looks like. A bunch of C's, H's, and O's, and a bunch of dashes. So there you go. Take organic chemistry in college. It's great. This process, the process of recycling carbon and oxygen are linked. And again, this stuff should start to sound familiar. Producers, consumers, and decomposers all play a role in this process. So we're going to break it down even more, but here's a preview. We talked about this. Producers are also known as autotrophs. These organisms take in carbon dioxide and they fart out oxygen. We humans and all other animals, we breathe in oxygen and we fart out or we breathe out too. We fart out and breathe out carbon dioxide. So these are cycled. They are linked. So producers take in carbon dioxide during photosynthesis. And the consumers eat the producers. So we eat the plants. We take in that carbon. That's why you gotta eat some plant life. You gotta eat something, some fruits, some veggies, something. Your mom and your dad and your aunt, and your uncle, grandparents, they're not just lying to you. You actually need to do it. You need that carbon to have strong muscles, strong bones, even to have fat. I mean, it's necessary to have a little bit of fat in life. Eventually, it does break down to get energy. Oh, excuse me. They break down the food to get energy. As it breaks down, it releases carbon dioxide via cellular respiration. Remember, we talked about that. It's breaking down sugar into carbon dioxide. Then you breathe out. Oh, I keep jumping the game. I'm sorry, guys. Then we breathe out carbon dioxide. That's why if you go under a blanket at night, when you sleep under a blanket, I can't do it because eventually the air feels stale. And it feels stale because there's no more oxygen. You've actually used up all the oxygen under that blanket. So that's why it's probably no good to sleep under a blanket for too long. Producers release oxygen during photosynthesis. Remember I said they fart it out. Consumers take it in to breathe, just like this model who probably got paid more than I will ever get paid for this one picture. Look at her, breathing oxygen. Must be nice. When producers and consumers die, their bodies break down and decompose. This process releases carbon dioxide. So here's the cycle. We have all this beautiful oxygen. It goes down into your lungs. No, I'm not calling you a cow. I'm just saying you're an animal just like this cow. Then you breathe out carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide goes into this plant. The plant does photosynthesis. That oxygen comes back up into the atmosphere. It goes into you, into the plant, into the atmosphere. Nice and easy. Oh, look, here's another picture. This cow's uglier. So we're going to start up here. We have all this carbon dioxide up in the atmosphere as well. Green plants absorb it. It does photosynthesis. It creates that oxygen. It farts it out. Then this animal, this weird looking, I don't even know. We're barely even going to call it a cow. The cow breathes in oxygen and gives off carbon dioxide. So the carbon dioxide goes back up into the atmosphere. Burning stuff causes carbon dioxide to come back up into the atmosphere. And when stuff dies, decomposition causes stuff to come out, carbon dioxide come out of the bodies. You're going to watch a video that talks about algae and how when that stuff dies, it causes fish to die too. So this is a cycle. It's super easy. Plant, human. Human breathes out CO2, it goes into the plant. Plant breathes out oxygen, it goes into the human. Super easy. So human impact. Human activities affect the level of carbon and oxygen in the atmosphere. When humans burn stuff, it releases a lot of CO2. So you can see here with these giant exhaust pipes of a factory, all of this stuff is a combination of steam, pollution, and carbon dioxide. All really, really bad things for the atmosphere. No bueno. So we as humans, we're actually creating a big problem, and we're going to continue to talk about this. We also have problems when we clear-cut forest or when we do deforestation. When there is less plants, that means there's less photosynthesis. When we have less photosynthesis, that means we have less carbon dioxide being taken out of the atmosphere. So that also means we have less oxygen being put back out. So here's when it becomes extra bad. When we burn down forest. Now we're releasing carbon dioxide, and we're burning the plants that's making more oxygen. Humans are terrible. We are killing ourselves slowly by taking away our source of oxygen. That is terrible. Increased level of carbon dioxide can contribute to global warming. So here we have a very sad polar bear on a fairly small chunk of ice. What happens here is as there's more carbon dioxide, the atmosphere gets warmer. As any temperature gets warmer, ice starts to melt. That's true of any ice cube ever. And the ice caps are just a big ice cube. So as we get more carbon dioxide, we get hotter. As it gets hotter, the ice melts. As the ice melts, polar bears lose their habitat. As polar bears lose their habitats, scientists all over the world get very, very sad because polar bears are very, very cute. Okay, I did rush a little bit there, so if you need any help on any of that, please come see me immediately, or Miss Sewell, or any other adult that's in the classroom, because we want to help you. Go onto Google Classroom or look at the front whiteboard to figure out where you need to go next. And like I said, please get help if you need, because I know I rushed a little bit on that.